What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Lexit War Room. We have a very special guest. I'm excited about this show because we're going to talk about wins and losses of the election, Latino wins. There was a lot of crosses in some of the losses, and we're going to break it down why some people lost and what's going on. But we have a special guest, and we couldn't have somebody more special because she's worked in the White House with Trump. So this sister knows the ins and outs. Welcome, Sister Jenny Korn. Welcome to the show again. We had to have you back. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for the welcome. It's so great to be with Lexit. It's perfect timing. We did this last week before the elections and now after the elections. So I'm super happy.
I know you said you wanted to come back, so we had to bring you back. But I've been noticing. I know you've probably seen that the Democrats, even Joe Biden, came out and they're trying to claim like the victory was a victory for them. Even the fake media. When I don't know how that could be when Beto O'Rourke loses, Abram loses, we win back the House, and we have a chance to win back the Senate. Yeah, it could have gone better, but I say it was at least okay. But I don't think that there should be celebrating at all. I don't think so. And then especially how when we win by 20 points in Florida, to me that's a huge, great loss. And like Anna, we got some great candidates that won. Monica, but what was your thoughts on the election?
So I was really happy. I tell people be heartened, don't be disheartened. The only reason people are disappointed is because the expectations were so high.
Right.
That's why I'm usually very careful. I don't want to get, red wave, red tsunami. It's like, well, I think we're going to win. Let's just see what's going to happen because it's really up to the American voters. But what we have to really look at is our wins. We have to focus on that. Florida, blowout. Texas, amazing. Ohio, Wisconsin, looks like a bunch of races that we can talk a little bit more about in California. We're on the brink of possibly winning Nevada. So there's a lot of wins, and I'll start with Florida. Everybody needs to know that Governor Ron DeSantis, the last time he ran, won by only 0.05 percentage points, less than a point. This time he won by 20 percentage points. That's amazing.
Wow.
And he won Miami-Dade County. And for people not from there, Miami-Dade County is completely blue and 70% Hispanic. He won that county. And
Wow.
not just Cubans, because they were like, oh, it's just Cuban vote. Cuban, Venezuelan, Honduran, even Mexican. It's a very diverse area in there. So please be encouraged. The fact that we are going to have the House means the Biden agenda and the failed policies are stopped.
Yeah, but I just think too that it shows that a lot of the Democrats are out of touch, or they're just voting on party, and they don't really know what's going on. Because did you see they voted for a dead person over there in Pennsylvania or whatever? Like, how could that be? How could they vote for a dead person and then the guy Betterman or whatever, he's not even all there or whatever? Like, they put him and then they voted for a dead person. That just shows how out of touch, and they're just voting on party lines.
Yeah, for the Democrats to be celebrating that's it's a cover. I heard Biden say yesterday that he's going to change nothing about what he's going to go doing forward. I don't know how you do that and address the people who basically said, we don't want your policies. To me, what the voters said was, we don't like the Biden policy, so we're going to send the Republicans into the House to stop it. But we're not sure exactly if we trust the Republicans completely. So that's why we're in where the Senate is.
Amen. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think we have a lot of work to do. And it coming from somebody, and that's why I wanted to pick your brain on this, somebody that's actually done the work. I was actually talking to one of my friends that's really, really like into politics here. And he was telling me that it's very hard. It's very, just to dig into the community, and you know what it's like. We have a lot of work to do in Florida. Let's go back to Florida because I don't want to get done with Florida. What do you think we have to do in Florida to keep this momentum going? As far as a lot, and you're in the thick of it. You've been in, you know what it takes to get the ear of the Latino community. What do you think we could? Because I feel like what we do as conservatives, we see that and we're like 20%. What? All right, let's go, and everybody bounces out. I feel like this is what the Democrats do better than us. They push and they grind and they grind. So what things do you think we could do in Florida to keep that going?
Right. Well, I do want to preface it with that it was a purple swing state. It is a deep red state now, right?
Right.
And with Governor DeSantis and the rest, Anna Paulina, as you mentioned, who won in Congress, Maria Elvira Salazar, and so many others who won in Florida. We just have such great leaders, and they need to keep leading on the issues that we care about. So they have a great economy in Florida. They have low taxes. They don't have even a state income tax. Excuse me.
Right.
They rejected the woke agenda. They said no to that and children in our schools and crime. They do not put up with rampant crime. They put criminals away in jail. So they need to continue to do what they're doing. And we in other states who are a little bit more competitive need to follow that model and be unafraid. If you see Governor DeSantis, he is unafraid. All of the candidates are unafraid. One fun little tidbit is that 19 Latinos from the Miami Young Republicans were elected to some office, whether it was city council, board, state house. That's a great farm team right there. Yeah, congratulations to them.
100%. Yeah, I had a couple campaigns that Lexit back. We had somebody get on the school board. So I got to see how, of course, how crooked it can be, but how easy it is if you do educate them and let the voter make an educated decision. Because a lot of times they'll just see names and they'll be like, okay, we're going to vote for this. But if they hear the policies and they're able to back them up and they say, you know what, I'm actually for it. And I think that's what they do in Florida. They're really transparent. I kind of find it funny is they keep Gavin Newsom here in, even though we're having it bad. But when they're having it good over there, so I feel like a lot of times we need to kind of, like you said, we need to kind of try to, mimic them or, emulate that. But I feel like being transparent, that's what we're not doing. But yeah, spot on. Go ahead, sister.
Well, see, I think one of the biggest differences between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party when it comes to Latinos is that the Republican Party is appealing to Latinos' culture, right? To their values, while the Democratic Party is just pandering to them and fear-mongering. So that's what I'm seeing a lot of more in California versus in Florida, because Florida has already managed to show Latinos what they can do and how their values align to the Latino community. California doesn't have that so much because we have so many people that are blue, that are fanatically blue, I would say, right? I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on California, because California was called at, 39% counting, 2-3 minutes right after the polls closed, and it was called for Newsom. And, we just recently had him recalled as well. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that and what you think is going on in California and how we can get this message out to the younger Latino audience as well.
Right. And it not just in Florida, just before I talk about California, in Texas, Governor Abbott won by 10 percentage points, and he won about 40% of the Latino community. And he went and, the infrastructure, grassroots, making sure that they're reaching out to every community, Latinos and others. And the fact that Monica de la Cruz also won. And that was a pickup for us, a Latina Republican pickup along the Rio Grande Valley. That's along the border. So that I talk about that because those are examples of places we can emulate right here in California. Now in California, it's upside down, right? 60% Democrat, 24% Republican, and then a lot of Republicans who are disguised as independents, right? They just don't have the Republican label anymore in California. And so it is about getting our message out. Obviously, you have a machine in Gavin Newsom who had like $70 million against his opponent, who I don't even know how much they raised, maybe like $5 million. So like really lopsided. But I have lots of hope. I think we talked about this last week. I have so much hope for California because we are starting to wake up. If you look, let's not look at the governor's race and statewide races because that's what's tough. But let's look at the congressional races. So you got Mike Garcia, a Latino, a Navy Air Force, a Navy pilot, a impeccable record, running in LA County, really hard, very blue. He's on on the road. You know, we're going to get more results in, but he's on the road to winning that. And then you get Suzette Valadares, who put her name in for state assembly, and looks like she's on the road to being able to win. And I can point you, you know, David Valadeo up in Central Valley, John Duarte also up north in farmland, and he's a 4th generation farmer, and looks like he could win that race. That's another pickup for us. In Orange County, where Katie Porter, again, had $20 million. Biden came in here. She had every Democrat come in here, but you would think she wouldn't need that in California. Her opponent, Scott Baugh, is less than 1% away from her. And we don't know. And then in San Diego and part of Orange County, Brian Marriott is 1.5 points away from his Democrat opponent. And that would be a pickup as well. So we have to look at the congressional races and then the down ballot races, because if they win those races, we need to ride that wave and then build on that. We can't just go, okay, we're done, we won, awesome. We need to build in that infrastructure and work with the party, with the candidates. You know, we had 2 Latino community centers in California. And that was a big deal because that was funded by the Republican Party. And they didn't just do get out the vote. They did citizenship classes, English classes. It was more a true community center so that the Republicans could be in the community and talk to the community about things that they care about.
Yeah, one of the things that I find so interesting is that most people don't realize it. Most of California is red, especially NorCal. A lot of NorCal is red. The reality is that we really only have San Francisco and Los Angeles weighing us down. We can get San Francisco and Los Angeles,
yeah,
you know, we can make a difference.
I can help with that. I can help with that. But another thing that was kind of scary, because the minorities went out. The minorities and Latinos all went up and all that, and there was still pretty some good numbers for the Democrats. But I was thinking it is because, like, over here I see on the news they were showing that UCLA had long lines. They were voting right there at the colleges. So I think the left is doing a real good job with the youth, because most of them had never had a job. They've never paid for their own place. They never paid bills or none of that. So they don't know. They're easily been indoctrinated by, like, usually people when they get older, they switch later. But I think that Republicans need to do a better job in reaching the youth. Also, maybe the parents, because probably a lot of their parents are conservatives, but their kids are going and voting Democrat. I think parents need to let them know is that they need to start helping their children and tell them, hey, these are our values. This is why, you know what I mean? Because we got to do something to stem the tide of the youth, because I think that's what made these little upsets or whatever that happened, is because a lot of youth went out and voted.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think of Texas. When Karl Rove went to Texas was blue. It took them 10 years to get it to be red and then hold it to be Republican. So that's what we have to look at. We have to wait for these results to come out for the congressional seats. Then we need to gather all the Latino organizations that are more conservative. So Lexit, Hispanic 100, some of the Hispanic chambers, even some of the LULAC chapters that are more conservative. And we need to gather together. We need to put a plan in place and say, here's the areas that we are going to concentrate on in California. This is how many volunteers we're going to need. This is how much money we need to raise. And then we are going to be in the community year round. And then when it's time to get out the vote, we're going to do door to door. We're going to do phone banking. And we have a more uphill battle. It's not about getting out the vote. It's about persuading voters. And the good thing is, if you start early, then that first year, 2023, before you actually get to 24, you can do the building of the infrastructure and building of bringing people over to our sides. Because you know this, you guys go out into the community. If you talk to someone who's undecided, 9 times out of 10, you can convince them to vote for you because we align on the issues, right? But most people don't know what the issues are, or they don't equate it. So, like, we need to say in, let's say, Mike Garcia's race or district, if we're going to go build that up, because last time he only won by 300 votes, we'll see what he's going to win by this time. But we have to say, because of Mike Garcia, a Republican, this is why we have the good news in where you live. So you have to equate the policy with the candidate and say a direct correlation. Otherwise, if you just say, oh, vote for Republican, you should just vote Republican. No, vote for these issues because this candidate is for those issues and aligns with you. And that takes
Right.
that takes a little bit longer.
Amen. We need to do it, but
Just saw
I don't know.
something. I just saw something. Someone just said start going to the churches. So yesterday
I was just gonna say that was gonna be my next question.
Yes. Yesterday I went and spoke at a church down in San Diego, and they were disappointed. And I said the same thing that I said to you guys. No, you be heartened because there's all these good news. And then I said, they're like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? If we got every single church in California, Latino churches, Black churches, everybody, and we said all those who align with us, and we're going to make a concerted effort up and down the state. Absolutely, we're going to make gains. So good on you. Was that Angela who said that? Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I had written down when we were talking. I put churches, and here's where it's disheartening because a lot of the decisions we make when we go to the voting booth is based off of our godly moral values, right? When we sit there, we're like, okay, we have a moral compass. I'm not going to vote for this. I'll vote for that because it's to the core of us. But we're seeing a lot of churches or not engaging or not getting involved when it comes to politics. So I think getting churches somehow making that where we have the Latino conservative groups and making this connection with churches and find a coalition with the churches up and down. I know we've done it before, but actually really putting a lot of effort into it. I think that's where we can make a lot of headway because I think where we have the problem is where you have pastors getting up there the whole time talking about politics, right? Because you have a lot of people in there that are sitting in church, they're showing up, they're like, oh my God, I don't want to hear it. But at little times when they say, hey, check it out, we just want you to know this is against the word of God and this policy is actually coming up. And these are the people that are pushing it. So we want you guys to make educated decisions because we will stand by. And there's ways to go about it instead of getting up there just going, look, this Democrat is evil. And the word, and then all of a sudden it's like they've tuned them out. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest with you. I know Christians that are like, dude, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, so I think there's ways to go about it as well. But I definitely think getting the churches engaged, involved will be huge. We're meeting with the church this week. We're going to start a radio station here and they're giving us a radio spot here at KNZR here in Bakersfield. And me and this Lexit chapter, we're going to have this spot that they're giving to us. But we're going to meet with the churches because we want pastors to get on that are conservative as well. And I think you're spot on, sis. So what do you think we could do? I know you kind of talked about it, but what do you think us, because you've been in it for a minute, how we can get pastors engaged? I don't know why these pastors are scared, why they're not wanting to get into, even though they believe this, and it's kind of like they're secretly doing this, in the voting booth. So what can we do to get them more engaged?
The good news is that we saw this with President Trump. We did it in 2015 and 16, and then we did it again throughout the White House when I was at the White House. What we did is we invited churches from every state, from every denomination, from every demographic, and we invited them to the White House, and we did these briefings. I mean, we brought at least 10,000 people of faith to the White House over the years, and these were with briefings. I think, Jesse, you came to a couple of them.
Yeah, I did.
We would do prayer, but we would also, the majority is we would educate them on policy. And here's what I say about those who are like, I'm a faith goer, I don't want to get into politics. Politics is a vehicle. Politics is how you get someone elected to then put in policy that affect people. So if you're a person who cares about policy, then you need to be involved in politics, but you don't have to go out there and go, oh, the Democrats are horrible, whatever. You talk about what you believe in and why this person that you align with believes in that, in those same issues. So whether it's the life issue, whether it's religious liberty, whether it's, in California, one of the biggest things that was the motivator of our churches, the shutdown of churches during COVID.
Right.
You had strip clubs open, you had marijuana shops open, but churches couldn't go up. And does everybody remember when Gavin Newsom said he was going to also shut down any Bible study in people's private?
Yes. I remember that.
Wanted to stop Thanksgiving.
Yes. Oh my God.
So, you have people like Jack Hibbs out of Chino Hills. You've got Papa Che out of Pasadena. We have so many amazing.
Remember when they were trying to arrest the people in the parking lot? They were just showing up in the parking lots with the cars and all that?
Yep. And they were honking their horns. They were in your own car. The pastor was on a stage and they were trying to shut that down. So nobody was touching anybody. You were in your own car. So that was kind of crazy.
And the BLM riots were going on at exactly the same time.
Right,
stopped those. That's what I always found so interesting.
COVID knew that was okay.
That was
right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is what we did is we brought everybody under one umbrella. So you had Ralph Reed, Tony Perkins, Franklin Graham, like you had all the big heavy hitters who were under this one umbrella. They helped us grow and said, here's 100 more people you need to go out to. And then we didn't just invite people to the White House. Then we went to the churches and we talked about the policy. So what we need to do in California is we need to make a list of everybody who we already know who's working on this. We can't work in silos. We've got to work together. And we need to start putting retreats together where we're going, here's our strategy. Because again, it'll be one church doing this great, one church doing that great. We need to come together and do it together under one umbrella. And that's where you have a lot of power.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. My dad's a pastor, and the problem with a lot of the Christian religions is that they're not as unified as we would like them, although they have very similar values and very similar goals. And one of the things, like you said, that they were all outraged by was the shutdown of the churches. It was a struggle to have a service.
Yeah.
So you're right. I feel like if we manage to explain policy, if we manage to explain why this should interest them, because a lot of them feel like their vote doesn't count. A lot of the people I've spoken to, that's their idea, that it doesn't matter what or how they vote, that it's not going to change anything. So I feel like explaining the issues at hand would help.
Yes.
And how they can make a difference.
It's a lot of work. That's the trick. And but the other side is working really, to your point, you said they're all out and they're working really hard. We need to work as hard as they are, because it's going to take me upwards of 30 minutes to convince you to vote for the way we're voting, because of the issues that we align on. That's why the churches and small businesses are one of the best places in the Latino community to go after, because we don't have to convince them of the issues. They're already aligned with us. We have to convince them of the correlation of how they vote to those policies. I forgot even to say Pastor Sam Rodriguez. Pastor Sam Rodriguez has like 42 churches here in California, and I was working with him on a couple of different races. So we need to bring all those different entities. California is a big place, so maybe we do a Southern California meeting, a Central meeting, a Northern meeting, but that's how you get things done, and you divvy up the work and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And within a lot of our churches, there's a stat out there that's like only 25% of people in churches are actually registered to vote. And registering to vote is not a partisan thing. So we can convince the pastors, hey, just put a registration drive. We'll help you. We'll put some there to do the voter registration for you. But more pastors than you would think, once you explain to them what it means to just go from the pulpit and say, here are the issues that we care about. Here's what we're doing. Here's how I'm voting. You don't have to vote that way, but I'm just letting you know I'm educating you. And it's like that first, like planting that seed, because if they're afraid to do it, then
what I think is another thing real quick. Another key thing I think they can use is local. I noticed it worked a lot when people go to church and they see it's hard to make the distinction between the person. They want the separation between the person and the person and the party, right? So if you have somebody at the top of a party they think represents the party, they're more likely to be like, I don't want the Republican Party. But if you go in locally and say, hey, check it out, this person you could actually touch and grab, you could vote for them, and you could actually make a change in your local community. They'll be more out to get engaged and stuff, and then they'll get closer to say, okay, I'm a conservative. And I think a lot of times when they go into the churches and they're like, Trump or this, and then they're just like, what? The party's trash, right? That's what they're thinking. But when you sit there and go, hey, there's a local councilman, or hey, did you know your supervisor here is fighting for this? And they're like, wow, he's meeting where? At the local Chuck E. Cheese. I'll go down there, I'll meet him. And it's a way to kind of get them engaged, because they always look at it like kind of try to separate between the person and the party. That's my tactic. And then once they get in, they engage, and then they're part of the party. But it's just trying to get them to jump over hurdles before then.
Yeah, there's two ways to go about it. One is to invite the local elected official. And I think that's something that we could do together, right? That we invite a Mike Garcia, we invite a Suzette Valadares to, hey, these are the top 10 churches that you need to go and speak to. And they speak about policy because they're already elected. So they're not asking for their vote. They're asking, they're educating and say, here's what I'm working on. These are the policies I'm working on. But then on the other side, you can say, Pastor, will you do a joint event with us and invite your people to it? It won't be at church. It'll be, a coffee. It'll be something else. And then it's just a gathering where we're all talking together. The most powerful thing is that one-on-one relationship, talking to people directly to their face, because then they're going, wow, this is not what I think in my head is a Republican, or this is not what I think is politics. She's a woman of faith talking to me about an issue that we both agree on.
And I feel like we need to take that on a broader spectrum, like social media. That's something Democrats have been amazing at doing. And I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why people have been able to lean right a little bit more, because Democrats are focused a lot, I've seen, on making the other side look bad more than pushing their values and agenda. Right. So people don't actually know what it means to be Republican. They don't know what it means to be conservative, especially my generation and the younger generations. They only know what they've been told. So we focus on letting people know our values rather than, the name, the actual party. I feel like we'd be able to reach a younger audience. What do you think?
Absolutely. Social media is, and I have to learn even more because I grew up without social media. When we ran the 2004 President Bush race, we didn't have social media. It was really, so you relied, it was easier and harder in two different ways. You had to rely on the one-on-one connection with people. But then when you saw with Trump, he was able to speak directly to the people when the media was saying something that wasn't true, right? So it's a double-edged sword here, and we can really get a message out, because a lot of people that I talk to don't even watch news, regular news, like mainstream news. And so that's a way to get to them, but you have to get to them with pithy, short, like something that's going to reach them, right? And not get into like too much policy wonk and say, this is like issue by issue. I'm a Republican because, or this issue's, like taxes. Do you really enjoy paying more taxes in your paycheck? Let me tell you that Mike Garcia is for lowering your taxes. So it's got to be like something that directly affects you and it's easy to digest. But we need to do that outreach. We need to do that engagement, because the media is just so overwhelmingly liberal. I mean, I know we've got Fox, we got Newsmax, we got other places, and social media seems to be where people like you guys have podcasts, and where more information is being given. And I feel like younger people are looking for that. They don't want to watch the 6 o'clock news, right? Like back in the day. They're on their phone all the time. And if we can talk to them on their phone, I think that's very powerful.
The younger they are, the shorter the attention span. That's
and then right now, before you go, you mentioned Trump. So I'm kind of excited because now we're getting into the fun season, the next 2 years coming up. So it's you know how it gets when it's about that time, sister. You were well in those fights. So we know he's about to announce, but either way, we got him or DeSantis, as you were speaking earlier. So we got two great ones to choose from. The Democrats don't have anybody in their bullpen, so we have two great options. And I just want to get your thoughts on the upcoming. Like, I think we're going to have a good shot. The only thing is, we all got to be prepared, because we know that because it's been kind of so much of the racist and all that kind of stuff since Trump's been gone. So we just got to be prepared, that they're going to come once again with the racists and all that. But it's better now because we got more Latinos and minorities that won in races, and the momentum switching and all that. So we just got to keep our foot on the gas, because we know that's going to be their first go-to every time is race against Trump.
I have so many thoughts. Okay, the first thought is we still haven't even counted the votes in Nevada, Arizona, California here. Yeah. I'm exhausted. I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning on election night, just hoping that something would break in some of the states. And then I woke up really early on Wednesday because I wanted it. And then I just been continuing to monitor it. So we really need to make sure we're focused on that. But yes, I know everybody wants to talk about 2024. I will say that, I had the great privilege of the president gave me a wonderful opportunity to work in the White House at a very senior level. I'm one of only like 15 people that started from the very first day and lasted to excuse me. And it was such a privilege to be able to serve the American people. And people know what we had under President Trump, the America First policies. And they have seen a big wake-up call under Biden. So I think we're going to be in a great place for 2024. We have amazing people who are going to run, and we'll see, when they decide to announce. The other side doesn't have it. If you see the latest polls, multiple polls, 70% of Democrats don't want Joe Biden to run. Nobody wants Kamala to run.
We haven't even seen Kamala in forever. Like, have you guys heard about her doing anything?
No, but they were talking about the guy
really
from Pennsylvania.
They were like, she does better when her polls do better when she's just not out in public.
I don't even know what to say about it. Honestly, I don't know what to say about her. It's kind of sad. But the fact that the Democrats don't even want her to run again, and so they don't have a farm team. And I think we're going to be in a really good place in 2024. Again, we're going to be able to stop the horrible Biden policies right now because we're going to win the House. We'll see about the Senate, but either way, there's not going to be any more, so-called Inflation Reduction Act that doesn't reduce inflation. Some, climate change stuff that doesn't do anything on the climate. A national policy. I mean, I can go on and on, right? None of that. All of the bad policies are going to be stopped. It'll be determined by how much we win to see what we can get done. But at least we can put that plug in the very bad policies and in the bad policy drain. So I have a lot of optimism about the future, and it's going to be a really exciting 2 years. So eat your Wheaties. Let's all get together. Let's figure out how we meet in South, Central, and Northern California, and see how we take back this state.
Hey, see if you could get Trump to come out to California this time for a rally. And, what I mean? We'll all
He
be
came in the beginning. I remember.
He came with a couple plans, so we'll see how it goes. Well, you guys have, again, thanks for all you do, all you did for this election, and lots more to do, and I look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you. She's going to be on Fox right now, guys, if you guys want to go pick her up.
Watch me on Trace Gallagher, 9:00 tonight, please.
Okay.
Tune in.
But thanks for coming on, sister.
Thank you all. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's dope.
She blessed me to be in the White House all those times, but she
must be nice, Jesse. Must be nice.
I know, must be nice.
Well, we went to the White House one time, but Jess got invited.
No, well, hopefully Trump will win again, and then he gets back, puts her back in his administration, and then we'll be all of us. We'll be back over there. But what are your guys' thoughts on your guys' thoughts on the elections?
I was pretty happy with the results. We are up ahead in the House, 209 to 1. I had it pulled up here to 1 something. We're still up ahead a little bit. We're waiting on the end results. We gained seats in the Senate, so it is a lot better than we had it before. So I'm happy. It could have been worse.
Like she said, it was because the expectations were like so high, but we did a few, like the Myra one, we didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see, she forgot to, she was supposed to talk about it, but she said that Myra was running in a different district. So maybe that helped why she lost, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, I want to look into that.
Yeah. Right. The whole thing with me, I guess I always, not that I get frustrated, because I've done this for a lot of years. I was a part of the Young Latinos Club, and I just kind of like, it's always an up and down and up and down. And you always see people and you're like, man, we could have did this better. Of course, I wasn't a part of like, it's a red tsunami. I was like, Foss is going to be leaking a little bit of dribble. But I am happy with what's happening. I think that if we had everybody engaged, if we had the GOP helping out grassroots candidates, where grassroots candidates actually are appealing to the majority of voters. And I feel like if it wasn't so much who we can control, but what actually we can get to actually have people come out and vote. I think if we all got on the same page, voters, the candidates plus the GOP, I think that we would be a force to be reckoned with. I think it would be scary, to be honest. You're talking, that would be a tsunami. But I think every time I've noticed, this was just, I think, Jesse, we talked about this. The GOP, the majority of the time throughout the nation, just yesterday, they backed candidates that weren't the
So
people's
good.
choice for the most part. Like
Exactly.
I noticed here in Bakersfield, I'm not going to lie, there was a candidate I was working with. They found out she was going to run against a Democrat, leaning candidate, and they threw in somebody in the middle to split the vote. At the last minute, I'm like, what the? I'm like, why would you do that? And it's because they rather lose power than have somebody in there on a part of them that where they can't control. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to be infiltrated. And I'm not saying all the GOP. I'm just saying some pockets of it in general. And I just wish that would stop, because the Democrats don't do that. They
Mm-hmm.
But
are
to
literally
me,
all on the same page.
but to me, it was kind of gratifying, bro, because all the hard work we put in and all that, and our work paid off. Because you see, the Latinos went up almost like 11 points. That's huge, and that means that's our area. That's what we're focusing in on and all that. So the area that we've been hitting, the jobs that we all been doing, we see our work is paying off, because there's other ones that they go and it didn't even really, you know what I mean? So what are you guys really doing? I mean, it ain't even changing. But the Latino votes, that's why nobody can say nothing, because we're showing the proof is in the pudding. We're not just talking about it. We're not just
Right.
this and that. We're showing results. Bam, 11%. You know what I mean? Bam, the Latinos are coming up. Bam, and we're not just talking about. We're actually busting a lick. I mean, we're actually doing so. It was kind of showing that all of our hard work. 'Cause imagine if all the things we've been doing, all that, and then 1% or something Latinos went up, we'll be like, dang, yeah, all that we're not doing nothing. But that
But we're
just
seeing
shows that
progress.
11%. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Have you ever heard numbers like that? That's huge. So that's just gratifying to know that all the stuff that we've been doing, all the hard work we've been putting in,
Working.
it's been. I just wish the GOP and the RNC, like she was saying, would help us some more, because we've been doing all that, but pretty much without their help, they're not really doing anything to reach minorities. We're just doing it all grassroots, just us. So hopefully now, or maybe somebody, they start helping. They, like she said, start putting in money into us. Because imagine how much we're doing all this just on our own, no budget, nothing. Imagine if they were to help us. That's what like how you were saying, Sally. We need to hit LA and all that. Look at us three. Us three right here alone, we
Yeah.
can hit LA if we had money and resources and all that. Latinos, we could reach Latinos. Us three right here, look like the Latinos in LA.
We can make a huge difference. I think Thanksgiving and Christmas, these are the perfect times to reach our community. Right? We can
Yeah.
get churches together, we can get the youth together. It's a perfect time to get people involved.
Right, 100%. I think I think a big deal too is, and we need to look at this, is we're doing a lot of work. But let's be honest, you know who's doing the most work for us is the Democratic Party.
Oh
They're
yeah.
making it they're making it soup
Biden.
like come
Biden
on,
is
like imagine Joe Biden when he's like slippery sloppity sloop, slippity slap, and you're just like, what did this one just say? So then everybody's like, I'm not voting for this clown, right? So then they come over. I just hope that a lot of the Republican Party realizes all we need to do is give them a safe haven, a place to go, somewhere to come and say, hey, look, you're a part of us, and not just be like, well, what are you doing? You need to
Yeah.
vote for everything. No, just be, hey, look at, we're conservatives. We hey, look at teach his own. But do you want high gas prices? Do you want this? Do you want that? And be able to give them a place. I just hope that they see that and they get the independent vote, because look at what's going on with who's a dude that was running against Dr. Oz?
Fetterman.
He had a
That dude,
stroke. Didn't he have a
the
stroke
dude
and people
died.
still voted for him?
He
Terrible.
died.
And that shows how terrible that they have nobody to run. That they were saying that he should run for president. Like, are you kidding? That's the best you guys
Because they
got.
vote based on emotion, because the Democratic Party has such a stronghold over their emotions that they know how to influence these people. And a lot of that has to do with, like he's saying, we need to make a safe haven for them to come and be like, okay, well, we can relate to you and it's better than the other party. But the reason I personally believe that people can't turn to us is because of how the Democratic Party has smeared conservatives and has smeared Republicans. So we need to show people that we are not who they think we are. And a lot of that starts with the outreach and social media. And I feel like that's how I've personally gotten hundreds of messages at this point of people messaging me saying, you opened my eyes. And it all comes down to, what are our actual values? Showing them that we're not like who they think we are.
Being transparent. I think being transparent is key. I think also when you have people that don't look like your typical conservative or I guess, Latino that would be, Democrat, and all of a sudden they're like, wait, you're conservative? And you're like, yeah, I believe in this and that. And they do too. They're like, okay, I'm not the only one. Can I join your group? And after a while, it's not so much, it's kind of, I said it before, I said it like a couple years back when we were on live, Jess. It's kind of like the red hat. When you don't want to make it seem like it's normal, you want to make it seem like it's the normal thing to do. So when one person rocked a red hat, right, the American Great Again hat, everybody was like, oh my God, there's a red hat. But when you normalize something, right? And I think what we need to do as Latinos that are conservative, because most of us are, we need to normalize conservative Latinos. If we could normalize being conservative Latinos, then it's not something that's rare. It's not the werewolf, or it's not, something that's not out of the ordinary. And they could say, okay, I'm that. I can be this too, but I'm that. So I think we should go out there and start, hey, it's like one of those things,
it's okay.
To be honest. It's like one of those things where it's like, you want to call it out. And I'm glad that we do. We're like, look at, we got Myra. Look at, we got Anna Paulina. But we need to be like, yeah, we knew it. We knew it all along. That's not news to us. Hey, we knew she was. We know a lot of people are. And then start normalizing, start making it like normal. And then a lot of them will come over because they'll be like, hey, look, I don't have to feel like I have to be a part of your whole party. I'm just going to vote on legislation and policies that affect my life. Is that cool? That's cool, bro. At the end of the day, that's cool. And I think that's why I love when Jesse says I'm a Biblican, because it gives people a safe haven, because they're like, I don't like party. I like people. I might like a person, but do I have to join the whole movement? And it's like, no, just, and eventually they'll realize how conservative they actually are.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I started off. I tell them, vote for policy. Don't vote for political parties. The only people who benefit out of political parties' loyalty is the politicians. It's not the people. And that typically gets through to people, once, especially Latinos. I mean, a lot of them come from the corrupt, used to corrupt governments.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. But the GOP does too, like need a better job of putting candidates out there, because I'm not calling no names, but they put out some garbage candidates out there, and then they're surprised that they lost. You know what I mean? Like, of course, you know what I mean? That those were garbage candidates that had no business being out there in the first place. You know what I mean? We knew that they didn't have no chance, or you know what I mean? We knew. Like, so the GOP needs to do a lot better too. You know what I mean? So as we're all doing this, even Turning Point, like there's a lot of us grassroots and just people, influencers, and not doing a lot of work. But the GOP needs to make some better decisions too.
No, A-Rod's right, because we have quality candidates, but the GOP can't all come together and agree on one candidate, right? If we could do that, we have quality candidates. That's something the Democrats don't have.
Yeah, because
go ahead.
No, because we'll get a candidate. This is the way it works. They'll be like, the Republican Party will vote Republican, but the GOP won't back an actual grassroots candidate. So we'll back the Republican Party, but the Republican Party won't back who we want a lot of the times. And that's where the parties, because, I get it. They're the big dogs in the room, and they're just not going to give away their power and whatever else. And that's what it comes down to. It's power and greed. Because there's no other way people would just throw in the towel other than they just don't want to give that up, money and power. And we get all that. So that's why when me and Jess, I remember after the 2020 election, we stopped and I said, you know what, Jess, I feel like because of our conservative moral values, we're really not getting a seat at the table like we were before, right? Because we started to decide more, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. You got to follow suit. And I said, Jess, about sitting at their table, and Jess talked and said, let's make our table big. Let's make our table so big that people are going to want to join us. Because if God is for us, who can be against us? At the end of the day, we don't need them. They need God. And God is with us. So we understood that the Latino community is huge. And actually, the Latino community, I hate to say it, but only can be reached the majority of the time by Latinos. That just is what it is. I'm not trying to be mean, but that they're not gonna see people like Trump or somebody else and be like very trusting unless you're the pocket or something else. They'll see Araceli, they'll see Jesse, and they'll be like, okay, so are they really racist? Or are they really like that? And you're like, no, they're not, or this and that. But they're not going to lend an ear. And here we are saying, hey, do what the Democrats are doing. Use us. Like you're using AOC. Use us. Use Araceli. But like I said, a lot of times they see them and they're like, maybe they can't be controlled. And that's a sad thing. At the end of the day, that's a sad thing because it's more about, like I said, power and greed and all this other stuff than it is actually for winning the party. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying in the bigger picture, that's something that does flood over. And let's not be too late on this. Like Araceli was right. The old that the people that are not on social media, these people are dying off. Let's just be real. And the people that are on social media and all this new generation, they're the up and coming one. And if you don't jump on this and get a hold of it, you're going to be left behind.
Yes.
The Democrats do a very good job at it, and we need to be up there because how many if you jump on TikTok, there's so many liberals on there and very few conservatives that are speaking their mind, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because so many people are afraid of being doxxed, and so many people are afraid of, the consequences of being conservative. But I feel like more and more, 2 years ago when I first joined TikTok, there wasn't as many conservatives. Now, more and more people feel comfortable coming out. The more we speak out, the more comfortable people will be.
Exactly.
And if we take opportunity of, like I said, the holidays right now, and to show people that we're not just all talk, to show them that we will go through with our actions, that we will use our own money to fund the social programs that we believe should be funded, which is something Democrats won't do. I think that would make a huge difference as well. And we have, let's say, 2 Christmas seasons before the next election. Like, we could take full advantage of this.
Right.
Yeah, and I've been saying that since 4 years ago and all that. I was saying we need to get, because there was only a few of us, especially that 4 years ago, there was only a few of us that were out there doing it. I was like, we need more to come out there because then that'll make it normalized. You know what I mean? Then they see so many of us quit being quiet and scared. And like you said, it's way better. There's way more people. I even went on left-leaning Latino shows, and even they were like, yeah, agreeing and stuff like that. So it's way we've come a long way, so we just got to keep going, especially now after this election. Everybody sees that the numbers went up. So it wasn't just the polls, you know what I mean, seeing it or whatever, the news saying, oh, the Latino switch. They actually seen it now. They seen it at the election, boom, that we went up 11%, so they knew it was real. So now what are they going to say now? They ain't got nothing to say now because it's a fact that the Latinos did a bunch, 11% left the Democrat Party. So like I said, but I think we're gonna cut it short though, guys. But we'll be back next week. Make sure to come follow us and go ahead and say your last words, guys.
Go ahead, sister.
Oh,
She's all,
go out and go out and act on your words. Sorry. No, I'm just very happy with the election. I'm very happy. It wasn't as much as people thought it would be, but it was a huge step forward. Realistically, it was a lot more than I was a lot more than I personally expected. So I'm happy with the election.
Yeah, amen. I had the opportunity to go to a couple different events this week. I went to a school board meeting where I spoke at, and we actually had last week or a couple weeks ago, they played this LGBTQ video in my daughter's school, and we actually, after putting it on social media on the Lexit page and having 200 phone calls to the school, the principal calling me, they pulled it off the website, they took it down, went to the school board, talked to them. They said that, there was a huge LGBTQ presence because of this in Bakersfield, and they showed up. They outnumbered us by a lot. I spoke my mind. Actually, what's crazy is I didn't know this, but the LGBTQ leader here, she's an older woman here in Bakersfield, was my teacher in junior high. And I didn't it was weird. I looked and I said, she looks familiar. And I thought to myself, she was my teacher in junior high. I always wondered why this woman had a fade. I was like, oh, now it all makes sense. No, but I know. I was wondering why she had hairy legs. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I sat there and I said, you know what? You were a good teacher, but I disagree with what you just said. And I told everybody I'm standing for an advocate for my daughter because you guys are going against her religious beliefs. The first act you did as a teacher saying that you wanted to have equality and people to understand, where you're coming from. The first act you did was ignoring somebody else's rights. And they were like, okay, so we engaged. Another thing real quick, we had a friend that we backed up. He's on the current high school board. He won, and we backed up 2 candidates. So I got 2 news. We backed up 1 candidate. He ended up winning. So we're happy to have Derek Tissinger on the school board here in Kern High School. I mad love for the guy. We're working with him in his campaign. We endorsed him. And Lillian Lopez, she didn't win. But now Lillian's our new chapter leader here in Bakersfield with Lexit. And I'm super excited for her. She's awesome. Her husband's ex-Marine. I'm super excited. We're working on a KNZR, having a radio show with Lexit with her because they offered it to her. So now she's extending the olive branch, saying, let's go, A-Rod, let's do this together. So we have some exciting news, you guys.
You guys can have Sally on too, A-Rod.
Huh?
You guys can have Sally on your show one day.
Yeah, you can call in or even come down. Whatever. We're going to make it exciting. We're going to try to talk to everybody. We're going to get a hold of all the Senator Shannon Grove. We're going to get a hold of all the politicians here in the area and just Latinos. So I'm really excited to where Lexit's going. I feel like Ada said, he said, we got 2 years to make an impact. Oh, real quick. Sorry. She's right. December is a huge month. We have a lot of things coming up. We have a Thanksgiving giveaway that Lexit's doing. We're going to 5 different families, and we are going to them. We're going to spread the gospel. We're going to give them meals, Thanksgiving meals, and we're going to make contact with them and share the nearest church next to them so they can go visit. And we're having a huge, huge, huge toy drive in December. In what neighborhood, Jesse? What neighborhood are we having it in?
South Central LA.
South Central LA. We're having a huge toy drive right there with the community. So this is what we're doing, guys. This is the way that Democrats see that Latinos actually are putting into the community. They always talk about how we don't put into the community. And yes, we don't. I mean, I hate to say it, a lot of them don't. But Lexit is extending that olive branch, letting them know, just like we did for the back to school, haircuts, backpacks. We're letting them know that conservatives do care about the community. We do put work in the community. We want everybody to know the gospel. And we want everybody to see Jesus inside of us. So I'm excited about these events we're having.
Amen, brother. So if you want, just go check out our website, wearelexit.com, and help us donate or whatever. Shout out to Alfred. Where you at, Alfred?
Alfred,
man,
where you at, bro? You're on the toilet, Alfred? You're on the toilet?
No. We're right here. We're listening to all you guys are saying, man. Hey, the chats are off the hook, man. Actually, they had a whole bunch of questions over at Getter, so they've been hitting us up. They wanted us to touch a little bit in regards to how the Democrats actually started strategic targeting the Gen Z generation. So when you guys were talking about this back and forth with Jenny, Getter was off the hook asking all these questions like, hey, can you guys explain a little bit about what, how the Democrats are using these strategic points to attack, well, not attack, but actually to get, like Araceli mentioned, some of the Democrats, especially the younger generation, they're very emotional. So they brought AOC that were here at UCI. So they're strategically reaching out to Gen Z because they know something, and we got to pay attention. So that's why conservatives need to step it up. And the new generation with the TikTok thing, man, that's off the hook. So yeah, I'm keeping track.
Yes.
Go ahead. Talk on that real quick, sis. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's one of my biggest issues is that we need to follow in the steps of what the Democrats are doing, not the exact same thing, but learn from them and learn how they're reaching the younger generation. Because what they're doing is TikTok, biggest one, influencers, right? They've hired influencers. They're paying them with taxpayer money.
And we can't get paid.
Yeah, they're paying them with taxpayer
money. Can't get $1
to repeat certain ideas that they want repeated, right? So I think their biggest, what's working the most for them is quite literally the influencers. They're seeing, hey, who has the most responsive audience? And they're using those, and they're hiring them to say whatever they want to say. Realistically speaking, if the GOP wanted to do what the Democrats are doing, it would take about $500 per person, because these people that's what they cost for them to make a video, $500, but they're not. They have ethics, they have morals. I think it's great. However, the Democrats don't. They're on the payroll.
Exactly. But then too, they're getting indoctrinated. by these leftist teachers that are all indoctrinating them all.
Well, yeah, and
But-
then they're in California. They're trying to get teacher or parents out of the classroom. Teachers were complaining about parents wanting to be more involved, and they right. And look, I don't have kids, but if back when I was growing up, if an adult were to tell me, "Hey, don't tell your parents," it was a bad thing, it was a red flag. We have to tell our parents.
Right.
And now they're trying to normalize that relationship with teachers.
Right.
Don't tell your parents. I'm like, that seems dangerous. I don't understand from a parent's perspective how they're allowing this to happen.
So next week, real quick. So next week when we do have our show, we're gonna put a little time apart. So if you guys have any questions, send them in the chat. We'll set a good 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the chat to answer some of you guys' questions.
Amen.
So next week we'll bring Alfred on. Alfred, you be ready for these questions to ask us, and we'll have the back and forth. So we appreciate it, bro.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back.
Thank
See you
you,
guys next
guys.
week. God bless. Be safe. And remember, Latinos don't have to be Democrats.